So we talked about the concept that in vernacular, a Nimrod is someone who is
in modern day parlance,
somebody is somebody who is a buffoon, or somebody who doesn't know something, and that's why it's got that sense.
Right.
Right, and don't forget, this isn't a very modern one. This is a 1940s, 1950s type of a But I'm saying, so that's the time, the era and the time frame that
people started making fun of. But before that, before Saturday Night Live and stuff like that, it was sacred. Even if you hated the top guy, you wouldn't.
The Gemara actually gives a warning about comedy. And it tells you that the only thing that you're really allowed to make fun of in a complete sense is Avodah Zarah. So it specifically says that really you can't take anything else lightly. You're not supposed to tell jokes about anything else.
Sort of like those Hebdo guys, so they're.
So it does give you a sense of perspective that other than the absolute deniers of truth, everything else has to be respected for the truth that's inherent in it.
Before you go on, I want to make a comment we were talking maybe not the Raza Aliyah, but anyways, Nimrod. The fact that Nimrod is that was his modus operandi. Nimrod is that he did the first person plural, like Nimrod. As he's talking on behalf of all of it, like we're in all this together, the first person plural. But he was out for himself, but he made it under the guise of, I'm doing it for the betterment of mankind and for all of us. So it's very significant that it's us, we the people. He means himself. Like there's a great thing that Evita, someone once heard this guy do this thing about Evita, Evita. So she said, we the shirtless. She was dressed to the nines in this gorgeous gown. She was talking to the poor masses, and with her jewelry all going, we. And it was funny because we. What are we? We have nothing in common. But the same idea, Nima, we. She wanted it, Or Trump talking about it. So he's living in mountains.
So we're going to actually get to that point with the next word, number 7. Kin Nimrod with the Tavir. So remember, the Tavir has the Mercha on the outside and that dot that's stabilized on the inside. So this is something that's sheltered, or something that would give comfort. Number 7, when a father blesses his son, he shall hope that the youngster becomes mighty like Nimrod, who possessed unusual human powers as expressed by the shape of the reading mark. So Nimrod is actually trying to inspire in his generation this type of hero worship. Yeah. Everybody should hope that we would be like him. Gibor, number 8, with the Mercha. So this is lightly connected to what's come from before, but mostly moving forward into what's going to come afterwards. Number 8.
What you just said, what comment was that on? What word that you just said that?
Kin Nimrod 7.
Kin Nimrod. That's right. That makes perfect sense.
Because of his accomplishments, he was considered outstanding, a hero among all heroes, as specified by the directional shape of the reading mark. So his heroism is something that's going to, again, stand out by itself and lead us into Tzayid, a hunter, number 9, with the Tipcha, which is going to close the phrase and have a slight pause after it. Also, as a hunter, he could perform efficiently that which nobody else could ever do, as illustrated by the closing shape of the directional reading mark. So even though people would like to be like him, he is telling them that he is in and of himself something that is unattainable.
He'll never be as good as him. Now, are you Makpid? And I've asked this before, but I always forget what you say. Like when he says directional shape of the reading mark, and sometimes just the shape of the reading mark, and for someone he's so medayik, does he want us to really?
Mercha and Tipcha are directional shapes in that they lead us forward or backward to what's come from before.
So
a katon, which just has two things on, 2 dots on the word, doesn't have a direction, but it's a bipartite shape. It's 2 parts. That's its main feature.
Got a direction up and down.
even though it's got something of a direction to it like a merchat, the direction really isn't important because in fact Tvir has an implied pause after it.
So he would never say.
So he would never say directional shape of a Tvir. He would rather say that it's stabilizing focus of having that dot that's sheltered by the merchat that's underneath it. So he is being careful with language when he uses the word directional versus bipartite versus stabilizing. So stabilizing will be used for Tvir or et nachta or sof pasuk. So again, these are characteristics both of the notes in terms of the way that they allow the text to flow, and in terms of their shape, and in terms of their function in the sentence.
I do want to make a comment that you should live to 120, but when your time comes, and we're all up there, and we meet your father, he's going to pat you on the back and say, that's exactly what I meant.
Well, listen, I always hope to be honest to what's here, and I'm trying to be careful when I add something that I think is mine, or that I think you know wasn't commented on and perhaps has some relevance. I'm trying to bring those things up so that we can do this as a thoughtful exercise as well, and just try to put ourselves in his place and say, okay, he made a choice. Why did he make that choice? Number 10, lifnei, with a mercha. So this is likely tied to what's come from before, but mostly moving us forward. Due to his achievements, Nimrod propagated the idea before the people that his power was superior to the rule of heaven. Thus, here rebelled against the Creator, and he quotes a Gemara, as conveyed by the shape of the directional reading mark and by the meaning of Nimrod, Shemarad L'Gabei Shamayim. Moving forward, Lifnei, as we go here, he's saying that he is better than God. That's the conclusion that he is trying to get into people's minds based on his actions and the way that he is drawing people in and towards him.
So he's worse than Paro, like there's the whole thing about fishing, that you have to wake up early in the morning and everything. So he's at least saying, Paro said he's godlike, but he's even going further, right? He's worse than Paro in that way. He's saying he's above God. That's what I heard you say.
Yes, Paro is superior to the heaven.
Didn't you just say at one point that he thought he was greater than
yes.
God?
No. But I'm trying to think if that's in terms of comparison to Paro, does Paro say that he is God or that he is a God? I'll have to think on that. I'm not sure if Paro defines himself as a God amongst the Panopleon or whether
or Panoply or whatever.
So
Pineapples.
But in Egypt
whatever.
he was Ra. He was part
So
of the sun.
Ra.
Yes, but the question is he one amongst others, or is he the only one, and that's what Nimrod is trying to define himself as, the sole power in the universe. I'm not sure Paro tried to define himself as that.
Paro is one of the gods. He was the manifestation of God on earth.
Yeah. In any case, we I don't think we need to go there now. Number 11, Shem's name, with the stabilizing Sof Pasuk, by his propaganda, stressing his own importance and power, Nimrod ascribed deity to himself, and he put God in second place for ruling life and order on earth. So he tried to replace Hashem as the stabilizing influence, hence God's name becomes the stabilizing influence at the end of the sentence. And we get to the remark at the end. The repetition of Gibor Tzayid Lifnei Hashem in the sentence has different meanings in each position. The first stresses his propaganda. The second was a demand for his response of the people and recognition of him as an idol. So I think this does conflict slightly with what he tried to say for number 2, Gibor Tzayid, Mareh Yaakov, because there he was trying to state it more as being somebody with characteristics that would lead people to him, and the second part is him trying to create a mythos about himself. But I don't think we need to stress the conflict. And nonetheless, we ourselves pointed out the fact that changing the phraseology and changing the notes that define those words certainly demands interpretation. And we'll remember that we sort of said in the middle of the sentence that we were going to try and look at this as a type of poetry with the same thought being reflected twice in an upper fashion, a better fashion, and a lower fashion. He was somebody who took the gifts that God gave him and turned them into a strength to try to glorify himself. And then what did he do with those things? He got all the other people to follow that influence and lower themselves based on that. So the first one is a reflection of himself towards heaven. The second one is a reflection of people towards him. So we have the same thought mirrored twice, with the higher thought in the Resha in the first part of the sentence, and the lower thought and the more earthly thought in the second part. So the first part of the sentence is Nimrod versus God, and the second part of the sentence is the population of the generation trying to focus on Nimrod. So again, this is not an idea that Mareh Yaakov puts forward, but it's an idea that I've heard elsewhere, and it certainly fits with what we see as we've defined the text now. So we're going to read through the sentence, and we're going to notice both times that after we get to the words Gibor Tzayid, we're going to pause. That's the main thing that we're trying to reflect here, and that stands out. And Nimrod in the second half of the sentence is again going to make itself felt as a presence, as something that is separated out both from the phrase before it and the phrase after it. So that's the type of influence that he's trying to have on the generation. That's the level of adoration that they gave him, that he stood out. He was something completely different from everything else. And we'll notice that Al-Ken Amar with a katon, slight pause after that. Kinimrod, Tavir, again slight pause after it. So that word Kinimrod is really going to be standing out alone by itself when we overemphasize the pauses.
I think you're right. I think that in the first part of the sentence, Hu Haya Gibor Tzayid, he was an efficient hunter, like Tzayid Befiv. He was very focused. He achieved his goal. He wanted to put himself forth as being a true hero. Al-Ken Amer is already the distortion of the concept of Nimrod. It's not Hu Haya, but it was what was said about him, and it was magnified, it was amplified. Gibor, Tzayid, so more levels of power were ascribed to him.
I think it was a media horror.
I'm sure.
That too.
Who's Marduk? I'm asking for a reason. Or not Marmaduke, that's the comic strip, but isn't he a god? Who's Marduk?
Marduk, yeah, Mordechai is named after he was a Persian god, wasn't he?
Yeah. Marduk, and Esther was from Ashtoreth.
Yeah, it's also the same root, marriage.
Ashtoreth.
It's that same idea for Nimrod. Nun is not part of it. Marriage, the root, the shorish is marriage. Marduk is also marriage in there. So there are similar types. All these godlike people who thought they were God. No, but Mordecai doesn't come from, our Mordecai doesn't come from Marduk. It comes from the Remez is in the Unkelus, from the Sami. Marduka or something. You know what I'm talking about? More drawer or whatever, yeah. More from that.
We will read the sentence. Hu haya givor tzayid lifnei Hashem al ken ye'amar kinimrod gibor tzayid lifnei Hashem.
I just want to point out that you have no Nimrod qualities, although there was a little hint there when you said, we will read the Pasuk, and you're the only one who read it.
We're reading to ourselves.
It's the royal we. It's the royal we. Queen,
No,
Queen
you have
Victoria
the-
defined
No,
it. Yes.
Nimrod had good qualities. Hitler also had good qualities, but he put them to bad use. You have those same qualities, but you put it to good use. That was my point.
Okay, so for
Baruch.
next week for Parshat Lech Lecha,
Oh.
I am going to.
What do you mean?
I think we're going to
Oh,
stop
Parshat
here.
Lech Lecha, that, like, not
So
that
for,
we're doing like
so
that.
for next week,
Yeah, but
what
we're doing it
I'm
that
going to
before
do
the
is at the beginning of each year, with the exception of this one, we've taken a sentence from the pasuk of
Oh, right.
the parsha of the week,
Oh, we don't have
and
to
we've
because-
defined it. We've defined it in terms of how we think this this interpretation, this perush would give us. I am throwing it out to the group who's here to take one of the books from Lech Lecha and to present a phrase or a word or a sentence
nominate Sue.
that comes from Lech
Each of us.
Lecha, and to try to
Nimrod.
define it yourself, and then to look into the text and see what was done with it. So I'm going to throw that out to the group for next week. That
Challenge.
someone should volunteer, and we'll define
I
that
think we're
once
getting
we've
that way
turned
we
off
know
the
what to
tape.
show up.
Go ahead.
I have
Thank you.
homework.
I have homework.